Okay, it is live now. So you can see the recording if somebody is not able to join the class. Yes, so I was sharing. Okay, so today's chapter is 5th chapter, Karma Yoga. So, okay, we did the pranati, so let's start with this. So last class summary, if you could remind about last class, about 4th chapter. I think so many of them must have gone through the purpose of the 4th chapter. So Krishna first of all says in the 4th chapter about Evam Parampara Praptam, how does the disciplic succession, how does this knowledge of transcendental knowledge comes from the disciplic succession, right? And then he says that in whatever condition the devotee surrenders or a person surrenders to Krishna, he reciprocates according to that. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. So next is about karma yoga. He says from sakama karma to nishkama karma, and today's chapter is more dealt about nishkama karma. And next is about this thing about the sacrifices. He tells about many of the transcendental knowledge, how through jnana we can go through do bhakti yoga. Next, Krishna says about tadvidhi pranipatena, how to gain the knowledge, from whom to gain the knowledge. So anybody remembers 4.7, 8 and 9 sloka? It's a very famous sloka, as we can say. 4.7. You can raise your hand. (4.7), 4.8 and 4.9. It's a very last class you must have heard. Okay, Ajaya Mataji. Okay, please unmute Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Prabhuji or Mataji, I don't know. Sorry. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah.
Shall I read out the sloka?
You remember?
Yeah.
By heart?
Yeah.
Okay, tell. Yes,
Jada jada hi dharmasya glanerbhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmana srujamyaham परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि जुगे जुगे.
Yes. And 4.9. Okay. Sudha Mataji.
जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यमेवं यो वेद तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सो Arjuna.
Very nice. Everybody has to by heart these slokas. Very nice to remember. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yes. So Krishna tells about himself and when does he comes to this earth, and why does he come and how does he come to this earth. Okay, so this was dealt in the last chapter, in the 4th chapter. So what about today's chapter, 5th chapter? So today's chapter contains 29 shlokas. So we will divide in one way, is that 5.1 to 5.16, these 3 sections, and tomorrow these 3 sections. We will divide like this. Okay. So about first section, it deals with Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkama Karma Yoga is easier than renouncing the work. So this chapter mainly deals with today's chapter. We will see what is Nishkama Karma Yoga, how it should be performed, and who are the 3 doers. About this, we'll get the knowledge about the 3 doers of this of our activities. So who are these 3 doers? So first section it covers about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Now, what is Nishkama Karma Yoga? So, there are two Karma Yogas. One is Sakama Karma Yoga and Nishkama Karma Yoga. Sakama Karma Yoga is when you normally people uh, they go to the Lord, or they do some activities and they want something in return to it. Okay, they are maybe some neophytes, or maybe not. Most of them are devata worship or demigod worshippers. They want something from the Lord. And what is Nishkama Karma Yoga? A devotee does, and he must be a very pure devotee. He does not want anything from the Lord, but wants to just serve the Lord, which is actually the position of um, the jiva, or the living entity, right? So jiva is always wanting to serve the Supreme Lord. This is dealt in Nishkama Karma Yoga, which is from 5.1 to 5.6. So Nishkama Karma Yoga, it is easier than renouncing the work. So renouncing the work, renouncing the work, it normally we see that people, they renounce the work. They mostly people in this society, they give more preference, like kind of one person who has renounced the work. So what is renouncing the work? Now renouncing the work means leaving everything and just doing nothing. That is kind of people who think that this is renouncing the work. But here we see Krishna's explanation about how can a devotee actually renounce his work. Okay, we cannot just uh, how many of you are ready for leaving everything, your job, your parents, your relatives, your spouse, and everybody, your children's and everybody, and just go away and reside in Himalayas? It's so difficult. It's not easy to do that, right? So renouncing work, especially in this Kali Yuga, is not applicable, or we can say it's not much given attention over here. But Krishna says uh, doing work in devotion is much more better than, it's more easier. Nishkama Karma Yoga means doing devotional service is much more easier than renouncing the work, because we cannot renounce the work so easily. See, even while you're going for even while going for a job interview, first you will see what is the package, what is the salary, then you go and get the work, right? Even when you're going to get admitted to a college, you see how much reputed, and will you get the placement after your final year, right? We want some result, we are expecting some results. We are not very uh, pure devotees like many of others who are, but we are somewhere, we want something in return. So renouncing work, it's not easy. So what does Krishna prefers here? So Arjuna again asks, now again Arjuna is confused whether renouncing work is superior to working with detachment. So what does Krishna reply here? Both are equal in the sense that both are means to the same goal. So both are taking us to the same goal. It's not something different. Emphasize. So what does Krishna emphasize? Krishna emphasizes working with detachment as easier and superior. So renouncing work is not that superior than Nishkama Karma Yoga or work in devotion. So Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasam Karmana Krishna Punaryogam Samshasi Yashreya Etayor Ekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam. So what does Arjuna says? Oh Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce the work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two are more beneficial? Now Arjuna is again confused here, right? About Arjuna is again in the second chapter, we could see that Arjuna in the first chapter he was asking about this. Even in the third chapter, in the beginning also, he was asking about which is more superior, work in devotion or just renounce the work. So let's take some reference from the previous chapters which we have already learned. Okay, about second chapter, Arjuna had many questions in the first chapter, if you remember. Compassion, sinful reaction. For compassion, what did Krishna say? Krishna said about jnana, about the knowledge of the primary knowledge of the soul. Who are we? And what is the connection of us with this material world and also with the Supreme Lord, right? That was the main thing that Krishna said for compassion. Secondly, in the second chapter, he said for sinful reaction, he said Buddhi Yoga. He gave the knowledge of the devotional service. Then in the third chapter, 3.17 shloka, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of the self-realization, and who is satisfied with the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So this is for the pure devotees. They use this human life for self-realization. So most of the time the self-realized person, they are so compassionate to them other living entities because they know their positions. So a self-realized person, he knows who is he. So who are we are souls, and what is our connection with the Lord. So he is not attached to any of the world. He sees that I am just a servant of the Lord. I do not have any power on the fruit of that work. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge for his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on other living being. So Krishna here and, here it is told that in the third chapter that a self-realized man, he has no purpose to fulfill in his discharge of the prescribed duties, because he thinks himself as a servant of the Lord, and he does not have any kind of a prescribed duties because he is already situated in the transcendental loving devotional service to the Lord. So here, in the fourth chapter, we see that, O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in the knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice in the material possession. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifice of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. So this speaks about karma kanda people who just do the sacrifice or kind of a yajnas. We see many of the people in this material world, they try to do some yajnas or something, but it is just without knowing the why we are performing this sacrifice. They don't know why they are performing the sacrifice. So Krishna says, uh, sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than sacrifice of material possessions. Like uh, mostly people, they when they are saying that I am a sannyas or I have to renounce, they see that I just have to leave the material possession, I just have to leave the home and just relatives and people around me, and I can go to Himalayas and such things. But Krishna says sacrifice performed in knowledge, that is devotional service, is far better than just sacrifice the material possessions, right? So this picture many of them have seen. So who is this? Anyone can answer? Who is this person? Why is Lord Krishna killing this person uh, with his Sudarshan chakra? Yes, Mataji.
Shishupal.
Yes. So who was he actually?
He's the Jai Vijay.
Yes, he's one of the Jaya Vijay of who are the gatekeepers of Vaikunta, right? Yeah. So what is the situation over here? Why is Krishna here, and why are the people over here? What is happening here?
He has just completed the 10 offenses.
Yeah. So Shishupal, 100, yes.
100.
Yeah, 100. So Shishupal had a boon that Shishupal had a boon that 100 of the offenses can be forgiven by Krishna. And this is Rajasuya Yajna, and all these people are Pandavas, and Yudhishthir Maharaj is doing the Abhishek or a kind of austerity for Lord Krishna, and Shishupal, who is the envy of Lord Krishna, he tries to insult him in hundreds of ways, hundreds of his verbal insults. So Krishna, you can see that Krishna is just quietly sitting, because even though people are insulting him, like Shishupal, he insulted 100 times. If somebody insults you one time, okay, somebody insults you one time, you feel so offended. But Krishna, he was not alone in a room with Shishupal. No, he was in the middle of so many kings, not one, two kings, so many kings. But yet he did not get offended from that sinful or offended from that insult, and he gave him the kind of liberation. So what was Shishupal in his previous life? So Shishupal, they are Shishupal and Dantavakra maybe, right? So yeah, anybody can tell Jai Vijay, they were Jai Vijay. So what was the first incarnation of Jai Vijay? As the demons, they got cursed, right? So what was that first? Anybody else? Vijay Mataji, she wants to answer. Anybody else want to answer? Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
You are audible. You are audible.
Okay, okay. Yes, anybody who wants to tell who was Jai Vijay? They had three lives. Yes, Vijay Mataji, you are unmute.
Inaction, Hiranyakashipu.
Yes.
Ravan and Kumbhakar.
Yes, and
Shishupal and Dantavakra.
Yes, very nice. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes. So in the first life, Shishupal, Jai Vijay became Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu in the Satyuga, and in the Treta Yuga they became Ravan and Kumbhakaran. And in the Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna was personally there, they became Shishupal and Dantavakra. So yes. So here again in the 4.42. After all speaking this, Krishna in lastly he says, therefore the doubts which have been arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge armed with yoga. O Bharata, stand and fight. So now Krishna ultimately in the 4th chapter, lastly he said, just stand up and fight. You have to fight. You have to do your duty. You should not renounce, rather you have to do the duty and just slash the ignorance with the weapon of knowledge. So now in the 2nd chapter, Krishna said about jnana. So work through buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga means work in devotional with devotion or devotional service to the Lord. So again Arjuna became confused. So what was his confusion? Jnana or buddhi yoga? So what buddhi yoga means? Nishkama karma, which is being dealing in this 5th chapter again. Okay. So next in the 3rd chapter, so in the 2nd chapter he says about devotional service, and Arjuna again becomes confused. In the 3rd chapter, Arjuna asks jnana or buddhi yoga, whichever one, Krishna. So next, so here in the 3rd chapter he asks what should he do. So heard about karma through jnana, action in inaction, inaction in action. So anybody can tell what is action in inaction and inaction in action. This is quite confusing, but yet it can be easily understood. So what is action in inaction? Anybody can tell? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. Okay. What is action in inaction? Okay. Anuradha Mataji. Yes, Mataji, please unmute.
Action inaction means if somebody is trying to meditate or in meditative state, but still they are having they breathe and they like the body function, like the internal body are functioning, and apart from that, mind is also sometimes control. So that way, though the physical posture looks like they are in inaction, but still action are going on that way. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes. So action in inaction, like example, simple example. All of us are chanting, right? Everybody is chanting in this class. So chanting, it seems like in inaction. We are sitting in one place, and people normally they ask, or in our home who are not devotees, they say, "Sa, like every day, whole day you are doing just chanting. You are doing nothing." Or for a certain time, maybe for 2 hours when we chant, people may say, this person doesn't do anything, he just chants or she just chants, that's it. They feel that it is inaction, but it is action. What we are doing actually by chanting, we are burning sins. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhava says to Krishna that just by chanting, just by doing devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, are all sins just burn into ashes. Just like a fire, it just burns the fuel into ashes. In the same way, our just by doing devotional service to Krishna, our whole, just not this life, about all our past life, everything is just vanished or just burn into ashes. So such a power has chanting. So we are chanting, but it feels like inaction, but still we are acting. We are actually burning all the sins which we are accumulated, which with the heart has accumulated from so many years, so many millions of lives that we have taken. So what is inaction in action? So we are working, right? We are doing so many work. We go for work, we do cooking for the Lord, we sweep, we do so many things in our day-to-day life, but still a devotee is not attached to his work. So that is inaction. So action in inaction, we are doing inaction, we are doing chanting, but still it is acting. In a back consciousness, it is acting. But when we are acting, we are actually enacting, in the sense we are not attached to that act, we are not attached to a certain action. So this is said in about karma through jnana. So conclusion glorifying the transcendental knowledge. So he concludes that doing devotional service is best, and stand up and fight. So now in the 5th chapter, again, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. This is a chapter heading. Okay. So we all are planning, right? We all do some sort of planning. Though thought are manifested in action, repeated actions from habits. So we all plan. We all have the tendency to plan. That's natural, right? Tomorrow what will happen, or just next moment what will I say, or what will you hear. You will be curious, or you will be just planning something. That's natural tendency of the human brain or human mind. And through while planning, you get lots and lots of tons and tons of thoughts, right? And through tons and tons of thoughts, when we think. So normally people say, no, think positive. Sorry. So what we think, it manifested. So what we think gets manifested. 1 second. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So what we think, it just get manifested. So people, they say think positive, don't think negative. When we go to exam hall or something we have prepared and we are just going to present it, we say that no, don't tell something what we say, upshagun, right? Normally people say that don't tell something bad, because when we think, constantly think, then it just get into our actions, and repeated action, it becomes our habit. Like a person, we can tell, when normal what we are chanting, right? Rather than taking a negative example, we can take a positive example. We are chanting. So in the beginning, it was very difficult for us to chant. One round, it is more difficult because our mind does not concentrate on the names. It just goes here and there. But while you are constantly acting on chanting, it had become a habit. And habits, when it becomes so attached to us, and it becomes our character, right? So that's how this is. So constantly chanting, it becomes a habit, and habit through it becomes our character, and character determines our destination. So if you're doing some bad deeds or thinking bad things, and it just comes into action, and when this action is done, it just becomes a habit. And habit, when we are doing a wrong thing, wrong habit, or maybe people are addicted to some alcohol or some bad things, it becomes their character. And later on, when they are going to die, or when the destiny comes, it becomes their next life or destiny. So devotees, they constantly chant so that it becomes their habit and their character, and at the time of the death, they can actually remember the Lord. So how to take step in right direction is described in the 5th chapter. There are steps leading to further entanglement in the worldly complexity. There are steps leading to life of liberation, freedom, and tranquility, and peace. So this is explained in the 5th chapter. So thoughts, actions, from actions it becomes habit, and from habit it becomes a character, and from character it is a destiny, right? So this is explained in this chapter. So Arjuna misunderstood. What is Arjuna's misunderstanding? Devotional service better than dry mental speculation. Okay, in the 2nd chapter, 11 to 30th verse, knowledge of the soul is described by Krishna, and prescribed duties explained. So as we discussed in the before, so for compassion, Krishna told we are the souls, and we are not this body, and knowledge of the soul is being given by Krishna. And then in the 2nd chapter, in the 1st chapter, Arjuna says the sin will occur. So Krishna says, just do this devotional service unto the Lord, and do your prescribed duties. You are Kshatriya, so fight. And then from 42 to 45, entanglement of soul due to fruitive activities are described. And 46 to 53, it explains about the process of disentanglement by devotional service. So first it describes about entanglement due to fruitive activities, and then how to disentanglement by devotional service. And in the 3rd chapter, from text 17 to 18, no duty for a person in knowledge. So here it is said about the pure devotees. They don't have any duty in this material world, because they are not attached to this material. They are doing the duty, but they are not attached to the material fruitive activities kind of a thing. And then they perform in this knowledge. And then in the 4th chapter, text 33 explains all kind of sacrificial work culminates in the knowledge. And in the last verse, in the 4th chapter, Krishna again told Arjuna to get up and fight, thus confusing Arjuna, renounce of work, or we have to fight, or just do the just renounce everything. He just wants to run off, right? When the difficulty comes, or most of the people, they think when difficulty comes, we can just run off somewhere. We normally feel, I'll just take up sannyas and just go away to Himalayas, right? But what is sannyas? Sannyas is for something greater purpose. Okay, it's not just about just leaving the material possessions we have and just run off somewhere. So Krishna denies that, and he says, do the devotional service, do your work, and just do not get attached to it. So why is Arjuna still confused? Because in the third chapter he was confused. In the fourth chapter, Krishna was doing clarifications to him. But again in the fifth chapter, why he is confused? So why Krishna does so? For our benefit. Arjuna does not want this. Arjuna already knew everything. He is the associate of Lord. He is this spiritual associate of the Lord. He is not from this material world. So he does not want to know all these things, but for our benefit, to stress that work and renunciation are not opposed to each other. So most of the people in this society, they think that doing work in the devotional service and just renouncing and going to Himalaya are two different things. But here Krishna specifies that these two are not different things. A person in knowledge, he does not think that these two things are different. Rather, one must learn to work in renounced spirit. Arjuna thinks that jnana implies the renunciation of work, and that knowledge and work, like fight and light and darkness, are contradictory. Krishna emphasizes, however, that one in knowledge should also work. Okay, so Arjuna's confusion. So he says, you say work for the sense activity must be given up. Fighting for the kingdom, even with the knowledge of the soul, seems like activity of the senses to me. Therefore, it should be given up. If one work in devotion, then how is work stopped? You speak in riddles, action in inaction, inaction in action. I'm confused. So we discussed what is action in inaction in action. So Arjuna is again confused. So again he says, work in devotion or work to be get renounced. Should we get renounced or we should work in devotion? So, so here is the Rajasuya Yajna by Yudhishthir Maharaj. So, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyascha Kara Ubhav Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. Now Krishna stresses on Karma Yoga Vishishyate. So what does this mean? The personality of God had replied to Arjuna that renunciation of work and work in devotion, they both are good. So renouncing the work and work in devotion, they both are good. Yes. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renouncing the work. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, he is a king and he did not renounce. Oh Krishna, you said about I am a spirit and I should not get attached to this material, so I am renouncing. He did not tell that. Rather, what did he do? He did worship of the Lord, even by becoming a king, right? So here in the 3.3 verse, so normally we see that some of the sannyasis, they feel that this material world is something we will get attached to, so we should not be in this attachment to this material world. So it's kind of a true, but people, they some of them sannyasis, they are mostly we say as mayavadi sannyasis. They do not understand what is renunciation in real. Okay, so here there is a kind of chart given here. What is the difference between mayavadi sannyasi and a Vaishnava sannyasi, or just we can say renunciation and work in devotion? So needs prior purification by prescribed duties. Process itself purifies, right? So when we chant itself, our heart gets purified. But renunciation is once you have to leave everything, the attachment, and then get attached to and then you are renounced, or you can take sannyas. But in the devotional service, you are not leaving everything and going. Rather, you are saying that you are doing devotional service and attaching yourself to Krishna. So simply jnana insufficient for liberation. So Krishna says simply just jnana is not enough for liberation. Action is a must act in status of soul. So just devotion, just liberation, just about jnana is not sufficient. Renouncing is just not sufficient, but you must act. So in Prabhupada's book, like in this Bhagavad Gita, you can see normally in dictionaries, we see bhakti means devotion, right? But Prabhupada, he did not write devotion. Wherever the Sanskrit term bhakti came, Prabhupada wrote devotional service. So we have to serve the Lord. Just understanding about the Lord is not enough. You must act so, right? When you just have the knowledge and you just want to renounce, you may fall down. But here, success is guaranteed. Entrance into God's kingdom, right? Here, there is a risk because there are some sannyasis who are not a devotee of Lord. They just want to leave everything and just get renounced. Uh, so the difference we can see is that some sannyasis, when they see people, when they see a flower, beautiful flower, the Mayavadi sannyasis, they say, no, we will get attached to it, so keep far away from us those beautiful things, beautiful uh, flower. But a devotee, he sees that, oh, such a beautiful flower, I can offer this to Krishna, and then we can have it. Or even in the bogas, if the devotees, if we go to any ISKCON temple, you can see a grand feast, right? Very grand feast. Every, you can go for Sunday programs or something, so there is a grand feast. But if we go somewhere where there are sannyasis, so-called sannyasis or Mayavadi sannyasis, they do not like all this. They eat very simple things because they are scared that they get attached to the this thing, because it is not spiritual. When we offer the food to Krishna, it becomes spiritual. When we do not offer to Krishna, it becomes material, and there is a risk of getting attached to it. So the Mayavadi sannyasis, they do not offer it to Krishna. So the food is material, and they feel that they will get attached to it. So if I give a rasgulla to a Mayavadi sannyasis, he will reject it, saying that it is Maya, or it is something which I may get attached to, and I am a renounced person, I should renounce everything. But if I give a same rasgulla to a devotee, he will first offer it to the Lord and then have it as a prasadam. That's the main difference about the two renunciations. Okay, one is this is what devotees are doing is yukta vairagyam. There are two vairagyas, we will deal with it later. So find the roots. So here the renunciation, mere renunciation, what people think, what people do, they just meditate and they just find the root of which is Vishnu. They just meditate and they get the conclusion that is Vishnu. But devotees, they water the root. That means they are doing devotional service. They see everything is connected to Krishna. So that is Yukta Vairagya. Now everything is connected to Krishna. Nirbandhe Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. So everything is connected to Krishna and everything can be used for Krishna's service. Now particularly this laptop which I'm using, it can be used for something else also, but I am using for the devotional service. But the same laptop, if I give it to some Mayavadi sannyasi or mere sannyasi who has just have the knowledge and not a pure devotion, he will reject it, saying it's a attached. It will make him attached to this. But I know why I'm using this laptop is to serve the Lord, to preach Bhagavad Gita. In the same way, why are you seeing the laptop or mobile? Just to hear about the Lord, right? That is Yukta Vairagya, using everything in the in the service of the Lord. So Prabhupada had one microphone, or we can say uh, a microphone or anything which he had. He used it for Lord's service, right? Dictaphone he had to record the purports. So if normal sannyasis, they say it is just attachment, but Prabhupada, he used that dictaphone to preach or to say the purpose of the Bhagavatams, right? So that's a devotee, which way he sees everything is connected to Krishna. Process is to detach from matter, become attached to Krishna. So Mayavadi sannyasis or just renunciation with the knowledge, just about the with simple knowledge, they try to renounce, or they try to renounce or get detached from the matter. They are striving to get detached from the matter, but a devotee, he becomes attached to Krishna. So when everything is surrounded by Krishna, then it's better to get attached to Krishna rather than hustling to get detached from this matter. So here, no happiness and being happiness. So you must have seen many of these ISKCON devotees. What we say normally, chant and be happy. So ours, the Prabhupada gave that tagline, that chant and be happy, chant Hare Krishna and be happy, because that's the how the devotional service is. It's uh, it's very pleasing, right? So here senses are restricted, cannot relish the transcendental devotional service. Senses are engaged, perform multiple devotional service. So here they try to what we say, they try to restrict their senses. I should not see this, I should not hear this, and these things. We do not matter on what we should not hear. We matter, we think what we should hear. We should hear about Bhagavatam, we should hear the Kirtan, we should sing the Kirtan, we should see the beautiful form of the deities, we should chant, and we should have the prasadam. We try to attach our senses in Krishna rather than detaching from the material world, because it is not easy to get detached from this material world. It's very difficult. So we should get attached to Krishna, right? Here he must take many births, quickly achieves the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Through devotional service, he will quickly get, there is a greater chance that he will get pure devotional service and go back to Krishna in one life. Okay, so about Ajamila we have heard, right? Just by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he got the second chance and went back to the Vaikunta. In the same way, through devotional service, because he is the root. And when we serve the root, the whole tree get nourished. In the same way, when we serve the Lord, everything around us becomes Krishna consciousness. So study of Sankhya philosophy, study of Srimad Bhagavatam, just about the soul and the Sankhya philosophy, this Mayavadi sannyasis read, and we read Srimad Bhagavatam. And here Sharirika Bhashya or on Vedanta Sutra by Shankaracharya. What we read is Srimad Bhagavatam, natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. So may downfall to philanthropic and altruistic activities, may have multiple engagement in devotional service according to Pancharatrika regulations. So here, one who is fully Krishna consciousness is always renounced because he feels neither hatred nor desire for the results of his actions. Such a renouncer dedicates to the transcendental loving service to the Lord. He is fully qualified in knowledge because he knows his constitutional position in his relation with the Lord. With Krishna, he knows fully well that Krishna is the whole and he is the part and parcel of Krishna. So, Jivera Swarupa hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. So, what is our constitutional position? We are eternal servants. We are Nityadas. We are servant from time immemorial, right? We are not servants like this material world. We are the servants of the Lord from time immemorial. And he says here in 5.3, he says, one who neither hates nor desires the fruit of his activities is known to be actually renounced. Such a person, free from all the dualities, easily overcomes the material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna. So a person who is situated uh, in this transcendental loving devotional service, he is neither attached to the fruits of the action nor the activities, because he knows that he is the soul and he is not attached to this material world. So whatever he does in this material world is he does whatever in this material world is just to please Krishna. And what is our constitutional position? We are the servants of the Lord, and that is our constitutional position. And when the part and parcel serves the whole, uh, it becomes happy, or it becomes pleasing to the part and parcel, right? So Krishna is the whole, is the complete, right? And he is Purna, right? And here we are the part and parcel, right? Krishna says, Mamaivamshu Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasashtani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. So he says, Krishna says, Mamaivamshu, you all are my part and parcel, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, right? We all who are the Jiva Bhutas, means the living entities, are eternal, and they all are my part and parcel. And when the part and parcel is engaged in serving the whole, it becomes his actual constitutional position. So here Sankhya Yoga Pratag Bhala Pravadanti na Pandita ekam apyashita samyak ubayor vindate phalam. So only the ignorant speaks of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. So just studying of the material world and doing devotional service is together. So as I said, Nirbandhe Krishna Samad. Everything should be everything is centered by Krishna. So when we get attached to Krishna, when we serve Krishna, we normally get detached from the material world, right? We may not stress on more on material detachment, because when we naturally get attracted to the higher taste, the lower taste gets detached, right? Krishna is the higher taste or highest, and when we get attached to Krishna, this material world, we just get detached to it. So right, when you heard about Krishna in level 1, you get more interested on Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, rather than mundane things that you used to do at this time, right? Some may watching some movies at this moment, or some serials or something mundane topics, but now you are attached of hearing about Krishna, because now you are in the process of becoming a devotee, or you are already a devotee. So you need not have something, you may not stress more on stress more on detaching from the material world, because it comes naturally. When you attach to Krishna, you just do not feel like doing something different from Krishna consciousness, right? You just do not feel like uh, doing something away from Krishna consciousness, or you want to get more attached because it pleases, because we are already souls, we are already the part and parcel of the whole, just that we have forgotten Krishna. We think that we are something new in this material world. No, you already were in this material world, but you are already a servant, because Krishnera Nityadas, because the jiva, or the living entity, it is the servant of the Lord. It is being enjoyed by the enjoyer, who is the supreme enjoyer, Krishna, by um, time immemorial. We don't know when we were the servant of Krishna, right? So so when we again engage in this material world about Krishna, it just pleases us, because it is our natural constitutional position. So one who knows the position reached by the means of the analytical study can also attain the devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to the same level sees everything as they are. Okay, the as I said, so when you get uh, so Krishna is the root of everything in this material world, right? Everything is related to Krishna. A devotee sees everything is related to Krishna. He does not see something different from Krishna. He sees whatever in this material world, he just sees that it is used for the service of Krishna. Okay, so this material world, when we realize about this material world, we realize that everything is related to Krishna. So here 5.2 to 5.5, in many ways there are both same. Jnana Sankhya, which is Jnana means Sankhya, and Karma means Bhakti Yoga. Neither hates nor desire for fruit, free from dualities, liberated, comes to the understanding that he is the soul, not this body, becomes detached from the matter. So when you come to know about Sankhya philosophy, you just come to know that there is some similarities between the devotional service, which is Karma Yoga, and Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga. Both neither hate nor desire for fruits. Both are free from dualities. Both are liberated. So here, what is the difference over here? Comes to the understanding that he is the soul, not this material body, becomes detached from the matter. So in the second chapter, Krishna says that we are not this body, so you should be detached from the matter, right? And then here also, we also understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit souls, but here one becomes attached for working for Krishna. So in here, the purport of 5.5, Prabhupada says, in the first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from the matter, and in devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same, although superficially one process appears to involve detachment, and other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from the matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can sees things as they are. So normally people, they try to get detached from the matter, and then after realizing so many things, after taking many births, at last they come to the realization that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But in the devotional service, we see from the beginning that we are doing devotional service to the Lord himself. So here, merely renouncing all the activities yet not engaged in the devotional service cannot make one happy. But thoughtful person engaged himself in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. So many of the people, we must have seen this Babaji's kind of a people. They some people, they try to detach, but inside they are not actually detached, because they are not attached. Our normally human tendency is to get attached. Our mind wants to get engaged. We just cannot stop engagement. That's the fact, right? Everybody knows that I cannot sit in one room without any engagement for 1 hour. It's not possible. Either I have to do something, or I have to hear, I have to speak, I have to listen, or something I have to do, right? We cannot just just meditation. How many of you can just meditate on something? Nothing. It's not possible. So Krishna says, but a thoughtful person, he engages in devotional service, because you have to get engaged in something. So if you want to get detached from the material world, then you have to become attached to Krishna or devotional service. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkam aptum ayogataha yoga yukta munir brahma nachire nadi gacchati. Okay, so 5.72, next session, how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. So what is Nishkama Karma Yoga? One performing in Nishkama Karma Yoga identify neither with his body nor the activities that his body performs. Right? Work with devotion, detachment, performs Nishkama Karma Yoga. So what is Nishkama Karma Yoga? One performing Nishkama Karma Yoga, so he and neither he thinks that he is a body. So which is first thing that we have to understand while coming to the devotional service, that I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. So next is whatever work I'm doing through this body, I should not be attached to this work. Okay, so by his detached actions, he is free from the reaction of his activities. Okay, next is Nishkama Karma Yoga, perfect knowledge. I am not the material body, I am the soul and part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I want to render service to him. I will work in detached spirit. So Nishkama Karma Yoga means you are working. You are working. It's Karma Yoga, you are working. But Nishkama, without the attachment of any fruitive activities, fruitive desires. Normally people, when they go to a mandir, they are not devotees of the Lord. They go for uh, somewhat somewhat they want from the Lord, something they want. But a devotee, they may go, the non-devotees, they may go for some kind of some money or some distress they have. They are also karma karmis or karma. They have some kind of attached, they have some kind of respect to the Lord, and they know that there is somebody supreme, I can go to him. Or some karma kandas, right? And then who is a devotee, he does not have any expectation from the Lord, he just want to serve the Lord. That is a devotee, and that is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So so who are you? I'm a servant of the God. So this should be very clear. Jivera Swarupave Krishnera Nityadas. I am always a servant of the Lord. So I cannot be one with the Lord. My qualities and the Lord's qualities are same, but the quantity, the Lord is a whole, and I'm just a part and parcel of Krishna who is ready to serve the Lord, to serve the to serve Krishna. What work do you do? Work allotted by the God. So whichever work is allotted by the God, I do that. How do you do the work? I work with sincerity, dedication to my best ability. What do you do with the results? So what do we do with the results? I just hand it over to the God, because I should not be attached to the God. So steadily devoted, our soul, devoted soul offers the result to me. Krishna says in 5.12 verse, others are greedy of fruits of the labor. Results is entanglement. When you are attached to the fruits of the activities, you will get entanglement. You will get entangled. Okay, so one who works in devotional, who is pure soul and controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Right? So he sees, because everyone, he is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him, because he controls his senses and mind. He is a pure devotee. Why he is a pure devotee? Because he controls his mind and senses. He attaches his mind and senses to Krishna, and thus becomes a pure soul. And such a pure souls are always dear to everybody, because he sees everyone in connection to Krishna. Though always working, such man never gets entangled. Because he is working, that does not mean he's entangled in this material world. He is detached from this material world, because he is giving the fruits of action to Krishna. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that the only material senses are engaged with their objects, and he is aloof from them. So a devotee, he knows that I am the soul, and I'm just using this material body. I want this material body, but I am using this for Krishna's service. So he is not attached. So this is Padma Patram Imam Basha. So what does this means? Brahmani adayani karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate nasa papena Padma Patram Imam Basha. So One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by the sinful actions, as the lotus leaf is untouched by the water. So you must have seen the lotus leaf, right? How is it? It just, the water, it does not stay. If you put a water in the lotus leaf, it just flows down, right? In the same way, the devotee, he does not actually attached to anything. Like just the water slips out of the lotus leaf, he is not attached to the actions of uh, the fruits of the actions. Because when we get fruits, it may be punya or papa, it may be a good fruit or a bad fruit, the seed will be there inside that fruit. And when you have that fruit, the seed should be again, that seed will grow into a tree. That means you will get attached to it again. That means you will get entangled in this material world. So better is to give it to the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada, he uh, he went to America and so many other places just to preach the cult of the Bhagavad Gita, or preach about Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, about the Lord. He did not want anything for himself. Rather, he wanted everybody to become Krishna consciousness. Okay, so युक्त कर्म फलम त्यक्त्वा शांतिम आपनोति नैष्टिकीम युक्त काम करेण फले सक्तो निबाध्यते. So a steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all the activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruit of his labor, becomes entangled. As I said before, a person, if he does not sacrifice the fruit to the Lord, or just thinks that I am the doer, then he just becomes entangled in this material world, right? So so when the level 1, many of them have heard about Nriga, right? The king Nriga. So you can see the picture. Anyone can explain me what is this? What is happening over here? Why is Krishna here? Why is the lizard? Who are these two Brahmanas? Who is the king? What is the cow is doing there? Anyone can explain what is this? You must have heard in level 1 classes, right? So if anybody can explain. One, okay. Usha Mataji. Yes, Mataji, unmute. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
The cow donated.
Yeah, cow is donated, yes.
By the king. Mistakenly, that was again gone back to the shed. Unknowingly, that king will donate the same cow to other Brahmin.
Then what happened?
Then he curses the king to take rebirth as a crocodile.
Yes.
Lizard,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
Yes, lizard. And what happens after that?
As he is surrendered to Almighty, this sin is not counted in his account.
Okay. Vijay Mataji, you want to try?
I forgot.
You forgot?
It's Nir Maharaj, no?
Okay, I'll just. Okay, so what is happening over here? Yes, the Mataji explained it. Usha Mataji said it was correct. So what happened in the last, we'll see. So this was a king Nriga. Okay, he was a great pious king. he thought of doing some karma kandas or fruitive. He wanted some fruitive activities from the sacrifice what he's doing, donating the cows. So when he donated thousands cow to a brahmana. Okay, so anybody can come to the king and he will give whatever is asked. So brahmana asked 1,000 cows and he gave it the 1,000 cows from the royal shed. So when he gave 1,000 cows, in the night one cow again came to back to the same shed, and in the second day the king tried to donate a second pair of 1,000 cows, a second batch of 1,000 cows to another brahmana, and the same cow which was given to the first brahmana went to second brahmana. And when they saw this, the same cow is there with the second brahmana, these both started to fight. And king, who did not know what was his mistake, he got cursed from the two brahmanas to become a lizard in his next life and live for a long time. And what happened, and during Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna came, and his grandchildren and sons were playing in Dwaraka, they saw an empty well. There was a huge lizard, and they called Krishna that, who is this lizard and why is he here? And when he touched the lizard, it took the form of Nriga Maharaj. And so he told that, Krishna, I just wanted some fruitive fruits of the actions, and because of that I was entangled and I got the curse. Okay, so Nriga fond of performing fruitive activities, sacrifices and charity, because in the last he said, he apologized to Krishna that because of my desire of fruitive activities I got entangled. Krishna liberated him later on. So he was fond of performing fruitive activities and sacrifices and charity. So one mistake, because of one cow, he got the two brahmanas became dissatisfied, and he got sinful reaction out of it, because he offended the two brahmanas. He got sinful reactions and he became a lizard in the next life. And then Krishna delivered the Nriga Maharaj, and then the king Nriga confesses the faultity of fruitive activities. So this is the result of fruitive activities. So the third session, it says about platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. The living bodies, the doer. So there are three doers here. First doer is we, the living being. Okay, who knows that all bodily activities are automatically carried out. Second, the modes of the material nature, and the third is the supreme lord, or the in the form of super soul as Paramatma in everybody's heart. So these are the three doers. It is explained in 5.13 to 16. First is the jiva, which are we. Second is the three modes of material nature, and the third one is the super soul, who is witnessing in our heart. He is situated in the heart of every living entities, right? So what about the first doer is the body. So when an embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all activity, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working or not causing the work to be done. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasaste sukam vashi nava dvare pure dehi naiva kurvan na karayan. So so this body is the city of 9 gates. So everybody must know what are the 9 gates, right? So 9 holes of our body. So not working or cause of work to be done. So a doer, jiva, he resides in this body. He knows that he is not the cause of any work, nor he is doing any work. So He does not create activities, does not induce others to act, does not create the fruits of action. So Jiva is not attached to the activities because he knows he is independent from the activities of this material body. So such a person who knows this knowledge, he can renounce his activities very happily. And so what is the next doer is material nature, the embodied spirit, the master of the spirit of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this enacted by the modes of material nature. So there are three modes of material nature: sattva, rajas, tamas. So these three things are actually making him to work in this body of body with 9 gates. So ultimate doer, the sanctioner, is nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied being, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So what is the real knowledge? We are the spirit souls and we are the part and parcel of Krishna, but due to the ignorance, we just do not remember. And super soul, who is inside our heart, he is the witness of all our activities, right? He is our father. So father cannot leave the child alone, although the child is not actually uh, uh, you know obeying the father, but still the father cannot leave the child because he knows, if I leave my child alone, he will suffer more. So I'll be always there with my child. And Krishna, as super soul, is always there in the heart of every living entities in every lifetime. Okay, so understanding the three doers, how they work, and enlightenment doer, the modes of the material nature, they are doing everything, but they are under the direction of the Lord. So second doer, first doer, we understood that he resides in the city of 9 gates, and he knows that he is not doing any work, nor he is attached to the actions of the work done by this material body. Okay, second doer is this material nature. It's actually insignificant over here between the Lord and the super soul and the soul, because these both are very prominent. But the three modes of material nature also acts here. uh, they are doing everything, because if a soul wants to do something and super soul sanctions, then whatever work is being done, it is done through these three modes of material nature. Okay, and super soul is sanctioning but aloof. He is sanctioning. People say, why did Krishna leave that bad things to happen? Because the person, the soul, wanted that to happen, right? The father, when child, he goes to the father with a bad desire. The father is reluctant, he does not want that thing to happen. But if the child is so arrogant and he just wants that to happen, that desire to happen, then the father has to sanction, but he's not happy. He's not sanctioning with his full heart, but still he has to sanction because the child has desired and he has to give it. And the soul desires, the Lord does not interfere. So the soul desires for that, but Lord, he is not desiring anything. He just sanctions these desires if the living entity deserves. So everybody wants to become rich or some kind of a thing. A material person, if we take an example of any material person, they just want to become rich, big celebrities or something. But if you are not deserving, how do we know we are deserved or not? Lord knows, because Lord was there as a witness in our past many lives, and he knows that if we had done good pious activities or bad activities, and depending on those activities, he sanctions our these desires. If you had done some bad activities in your previous life, even though you have desire to become something, he does not sanction it. because you don't remember what you had done in the previous life. But the super soul, the Krishna, he knows everything. Why are you desiring, and what is your future, and what was your past? Everything is known. In a similar way, when a child goes, the father, he knows. If I give something to the child, if a child may ask for a knife, right? But a father knows, if I give this knife to my child, he does not know how to handle it. He may injure himself, right? In the same way, we are desiring something bad or non-deserving thing for us. Krishna does not sanction it. Or even if he sanctions, he knows the future that you will enjoy yourself. So, by inner sight, we can understand that Krishna is actually helping us in many ways, but we do not realize it in the present thing. But when we go to the future and see back to ourselves, we see, yes, Krishna saved me in that time, right? So when Krishna sanctions something, then the three modes of material nature carry out, and this knowledge this is the knowledge in the mode of goodness. Okay, role of the soul initiated. He desires, he initiates the plan, and then the Lord is sanctions. Then the material world, material nature, it facilitates for whatever activities we are needed to be done. So ignorance is bewildered. So here the three things. So when a jiva it desires, super soul verifies and sanctions based on, does this jiva desire to get this deserve to get this desire fulfilled? So Lord sees if this jivatma really deserves this desire to be fulfilled or not. Then uh, then he says yes, okay, fine, I sanction it, or he says I deny it. Both are to be taken care by these three modes of material nature, sattva, rajas, tamas. And then after receiving the super soul's order, the material nature through three modes of sattva, rajas, tama fulfills the jiva's desires. He fulfills the jiva's desires. It depends upon what you desire. And if the Lord is sanctioned, ultimate sanctioner is the Lord. You want so many things. I want iPhone, I want a big bungalow, I want to do that, I want to do this. Ultimately, who is the sanctioner? It is the Lord. So we must understand this. So comparing the soul and the super soul. So soul, it is also eternal. Super soul is also eternal, blissful, but suffers when it's covered by the Maya. So soul is Satchidananda Rupa. So he is the blissful. Okay. The Lord is Satchidananda Rupa, and also the soul is. He is also. The both are blissful, but the soul, when he is covered, his conditioned soul, then he suffers in this Maya. But the Lord is above the three modes. Okay, cognizant of his body, cognizant of all the bodies. He knows what is happening in his body. The jiva knows what is happening in my body in this life. But Krishna, as a super soul, he is witnessing all the bodies, and he knows all the bodies and all our past janmas. Here, soul is atomic, Anu, and Krishna is Vibhu, omniscient. He knows everything. Okay, and has minute independence to desire, but is dependent upon the super soul to fulfill his desires. So desires to desire. Okay, Krishna gives independence to desire. Okay, you desire whatever you want, but I will sanction if you deserve that desire to get fulfilled. But Krishna is completely independent. He need not wait for anyone's sanction because he is the supreme Lord, right? But the jiva, if he wants something, he has to go near the Lord. And even if he does not go near the Lord, it is up to the super soul to fulfill his desires or not. Okay, this is about the three doers. First is the soul, second is the super soul, and third is the material world, material modes of nature, which are actually working the Supreme Lord. So So this is the next session. We will continue this tomorrow. Is that okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna all.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yes. So it's 8:34. Yes. Anybody has anything to tell? I think so we can end the live stream